All right, finally we have Cup Series. So we're going to talk about the Cup Series here now, my predictions. So let's go through the full-time rides with the full-time drivers. So Ross Chastain at Trackhouse, Austin Cindric at Penske, Austin Dillon at RCR, Kevin Harvick at Stuart Haas, Kyle Larson and Hendricks, Brad Keselowski at the new RFK team, Corey LaJoie at Spire, Tyler Reddick joining Austin Dillon at RCR, Chase Elliott at Hendrick, Eric Almirola at Stuart Haas, Denny Hamlin at Joe Gibbs, Ryan Blaney at Penske, Chase Briscoe at Stuart Haas, Chris Buescher along with Keselowski at RFK, Busch, Truex, and Bell all at Joe Gibbs, Harrison Burton making his Wood Brothers and NASCAR debut, Joey Logano at Penske, Bubba Wallace at 2311, William Byron at Hendrick, Justin Haley at Colleague, Michael McDowell at Front Row Motorsports, Todd Gilliland at Front Row Motorsports, replacing Anthony Alfredo, Cole Custer at Stuart Haas, Ty Dillon at the new Petty GMS team, Eric Jones at the new Petty GMS team, Kurt Busch joining Bubba Wallace at 2311, Ricky Stenhouse at Jody Doherty Racing, Alex Bowman and the other Hendrick car, and Daniel Suarez with Ross Chastain at Trackhouse. Full-time ride, multiple drivers is going to be that second Colleague car that we mentioned in the other episode, where they'll have Allmendinger, Hemrick, and Gregson racing. Allmendinger, fortunately, won the race for them last year. Part-time rides for Team Esberg with Edmonds and Villeneuve. We also have Gregson and then someone at the plate races for Beard Motorsports. And then MBM is going to have Boris Said at a few races. Charters that haven't announced plans yet are all the Wickware Racing cars, and Live Fast could potentially be BJ McLeod. And then rumored entries could be MBM. They got the next-gen chassis, but that's probably going to be the Boris Said car. And then Spire could have a charter, and then maybe another development car for Joe Gibbs. So those are the confirmed cars and such. So let's go with my predictions now. Cup team winner, a lot of options, but to me, I'm picking a team that hasn't won in a while. Last time they won was with Joey Logano, and that is Penske. Now, let me tell you why. Penske lost Brad Keselowski, yes, but they're getting a young, hip, exciting, fast rookie in Austin Cindric. He's the next big thing. At least I think. So they're getting him to replace Keselowski. Then Joey Logano is always consistent. Joey Logano does his job. He races well. He wins races. And then I think the biggest helper in this is going to be Ryan Blaney. We saw Blaney win a race earlier in the year somewhere. Was it Atlanta? And then he won in Michigan. And then he won in Daytona. And then he was in the top 8 of the championship. So Blaney has had a very good year. He's shown improvement. He's won a race at least every year. So Blaney is a big part in this. And then I said Logano will do his thing. And then Cindric, I think, will perform better than Keselowski did last year. So that's why I think Penske's going to win. I don't think Hendrick will be as dominant as they did last year. I think Stuart Haas Racing will be better than they were before. I feel like they'll be back to where they won't be back to where they were. But like last year, Almirola won that one race out of nowhere. But Harvick did good, but they didn't win races. And then Briscoe and Custer did nothing. When in years past, Almirola would be in contention for wins. Harvick won like 7 races, and like Newman was there, and that wasn't Newman. I don't think it was Newman. Clint Boyer, he won stages and such. So I don't think they'll be back to that, but they will be somewhat back. And then Joe Gibbs is probably the other biggest competitor for them. And who knows what they'll be. But they didn't have it this year in the championship rounds. Like Kyle Busch, Truex. Remember, Truex barely made it in. And then Kyle Busch, sometimes he beats his own foot. And then Bell hasn't shown that he's a championship 4 level. And Hamlin chokes every year, but he is good, of course. So, yeah, I think Penske can pull through this year and win. And with that being said, the most improved team, I kind of already touched on it, I think will be Stuart Haas Racing. I think they'll be the most improved because this year they can definitely win races. It's a new chassis, it's a new car, new spoilers, new tires, new horsepower. The Ford could get back to where they were. And of course, so I put the Cup team winner and the most improved as Ford car. So yeah, I'm saying Ford's going to be good. They're going to make a comeback. I think Ford does make a comeback next year. So Stuart Haas most improved. What does that mean? That means Harvick wins races next year. That means Almirola is getting top 10s. That means Briscoe is competitive and Custer is competitive, which was something that didn't happen last year. And if that happens, like I think it will, then they'll be most improved. Now, Cup Team Sleeper. I have 2 options for Cup Team Sleeper. I will go through both. First one, Front Row Motorsports. So Front Row has Michael McDowell and Todd Gillen. So hear me out. This is the main reason why I put Front Row Motorsports as a sleeper team. Because I think they can win a race this year. And not like just the Daytona 500. Because McDowell won the 500. He, just like the Bubba win in Talladega, McDowell was in the right spot at the right time. And he did his thing. That's how you win at those races. But this next gen car is more of a sports car. We've even seen it in testing. We've seen it in the practices. This car suits Michael McDowell. Now, will Front Row Motorsports make enough of an improvement to their car to take that car away from finishing in the 20s every race? Maybe. Maybe not. But I think McDowell is a competent enough driver where at the road courses, he should be finishing in the top 10s. If things, obviously if he's not involved in like a wreck or some bad luck, penalty, the pit stop or something. If it's just like a normal race and he's been able to qualify, practice, I think he should be getting top 10s, at least top 20s. And then plate tracks, anything can happen. He won last year. So to me, I think McDowell can win a race next year. I'm not going to bet my money that it will happen. But I will come back on this podcast and say, well, I told you in the preseason it was going to happen. So, yeah, I do think McDowell will make the playoffs next year. And then you got Todd Gillen, who is making a comeback. And he will be better than Alfredo. So, that's that. Then, my second Cup team sleeper is going to be 2311. Here's why. You know, not a lot of people like Bubba Wallace. I'm a big Bubba Wallace fan. I think he's done a lot for the sport. But people like to hate on it. For, you know, what everything is about it. He won a race last year. It was like the McDowell situation, right place, right time, but he did his job. He worked the draft. He raced with his teammates. He won the race. Everybody knew it was going to rain. He won the race fair and square. So we know he can win. We also know, I went to the Daytona 400. He finished second place. He led like 5 laps or something. So, at least last year, that car was built for play tracks. He was good at play tracks. Road courses, no. Short tracks, no. A lot of the time, we saw Bubba Wallace in the 20s. So now let's fast forward to this year. where you have different car, maybe an improved Bubba Wallace. I don't know. But what you do have is now Kurt Busch, a guy that's won a race every year, just like what's his name? Who did I just mention who won a race every year so far? Blaney. Yeah. So Busch, I do think Busch is going to win, right? Busch is going to make the playoffs. Bubba Wallace finished 17th last year in the playoff standings because he won the race at Talladega. And he was one spot away from the playoffs in Daytona. I do think Kurt Busch is going to make the playoffs. I think Kurt Busch is going to win a race. And 2311 is going to have a win in every single year they've been in the sport. I view Front Row Motorsports and 2311 as very similar teams. I think Kurt Busch brings a lot to the team. I'm a big Kurt Busch fan. I'm a big 2311 fan. Big Bubba fan. I think 2311 Front Row Motorsports are co-team sleepers. Next up, who's winning the championship in my book? That team is going to be, or that driver is going to be Ryan Blaney. I think Blaney does it this year finally. He gets it done. Blaney wins the championship. He can win at mid-spec tracks, 1 mile, 1.5. He can win at 2 mile tracks. He can win at plate races. We just got to see him win at the short tracks. And like I said, I think Penske makes a bit of a jump this year. I think Blaney makes a bit of a jump. The team makes a bit of a jump. So I got Blaney as the lead Penske driver next year. I think he gets it done. I think he wins. So, who are the other options then? I don't think any other Penske driver is really going to be up there in the championship. Maybe Logano. What I do have, though, is 3 other Hendrick drivers now in the top 5. I will say now, Bowman's not one of them. But just because I think Bowman's the weakest of the Hendrick drivers, he is still a top 15 driver in NASCAR right now. He just happens to be on a very good team. So I think the other drivers that could potentially win a championship that are not named Ryan Blaney is going to be Larson. Of course, he won it last year. Byron had all those top 10s and top 5s this year. He's just got to convert some of these into wins. He had a very unfortunate second race of the playoffs, and then he barely made it in at Bristol by getting third, or else we could have potentially seen Byron in the top 8, top 4. Chase Elliott, of course, has made now back-to-back Final Fours. He won 2 years ago. And then I think the Joe Gibbs car, maybe Busch, maybe Truex, but I put down Hamlin because he can't. Hamlin's consistently good every year. So I think he's up in there. Now, final 2 things. Cup driver sleeper and Cup rookie of the year. So let's talk about this sleeper. I already kind of talked about him briefly, and that's Kurt Busch. I think he's going to do very well this year. I think he picks up 2 wins, a lot of top 10s, top 20s every race, and only a few races where he's not in the top 20s. Maybe road courses, maybe short tracks or something. I don't know. Kurt Busch, to me, is making the playoffs and is going to be in the top 8 at the end of it all. Because look, he was in the top 12 last year at Chip Ganassi, and I think this 2311 car compared to the Chip car is going to be better than what he was, where he made the playoffs and got top 12. So that's why I think Kurt Busch is going to be my Cup driver sleeper pick. Now, finally, last thing of the entire podcast. Cup Rookie of the Year. Not a hard choice for me. I'm going Harrison Burton. He's in the Wood Brothers car. Last time we saw a rookie make their debut in the Wood Brothers car, Trevor Bayne won the Daytona 500. So, Also, Wood Brothers is looking for that 100th win. I think Harrison Burton's the guy that gets it done. Will it happen this year? Maybe. But as long as he's there, if he's there for the next 3 years, or at least 2, I think they get their 100th win with Harrison Burton. I really like how he raced in the ladder, coming up the ladder with trucks and Xfinity, especially Xfinity. I think it's a great promotion for him. He's going to a team that can win races but didn't. I do think he'll be better than DiBenedetto when it's all said and done. He's a different driver style, next-gen car. Harrison Burton, to me, is Rookie of the Year. I think he will perform better than Austin Cindric. So you can call me out on it. But Cindric's in a better car. I think Burton will make more of that car. And Burton's a guy that's not going to be expected to get top 10s. But I think he will get top 10s every now and then. So, and maybe even a win with Wood Brothers. So that's the end of this podcast episode. Thank you for listening. Almost an hour podcast episode. It was a big one for sure. The big prediction episode. 55 days now until Daytona 500. I will be at the next gen testing. There will be a podcast out before that though. So thank you for listening, and check out our YouTube Highline Podcast, Instagram Highline Pod. Got a TikTok Highline Podcast now as well. No Twitter though, not really interested. You can follow Bob Pockris on Twitter if you want. He's the guy that pretty much everybody gets their news from, including Erica Stepp and all the other NASCAR YouTubers. So that's the end of this. Adios.